how do we already have what it takes to succeed?
Yeah, that's interesting. And funnily enough, that subtitle is interesting. You bring up the subtitle because actually, that's one that I'll actually give the credit to the publishers for. Because what happened was we were just writing. The initial idea was just this startup book that we were just going to self-publish, and it's about tech startups, and it's cool. And we know it applies in other areas, but especially if you're self-publishing or if you're just creating content, it's better to start off niche. So yeah, there's a whole story behind how we got a publishing deal, which was incredible. A lot of serendipity, a lot of this idea of testing small, and we had this lean version of the book, which was like a 10,000 word version of the book, which is like an hour read essentially, just to give you the context of the whole book. And then we started to give that out to get some feedback from people, and essentially that's what led us on to getting a publishing deal, which was like, what, we did not expect that, because we have, Ash and myself weren't building public social media. We weren't talking about the success we were having in business, etc. We were just kind of doing it and just kind of being quite private about it. So we didn't have like a following or anything at that time. But yeah, the subtitle came about because I sent off the first draft and I said, I don't think this is it. Ash had pushed me to do it really fast, and I was doing most of the writing myself, and a lot of ideas came from Ash. And I was like, I'm not very happy with this. I said this to the editor. And then she was like, no, this is actually great. I don't know why you're being so harsh on it. I'm like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to show you how much better I can do. And I rewrote from scratch a new one in just a few months. It was crazy. And she was like, okay, this is really good. And actually, we should release this as a hardback. And we should change the subtitle to be not just about tech startups, should make it more general. That's kind of the behind the curtain sneak peek of the idea. And they gave us this idea of how you already have what it takes to succeed. And I was like, is that the message of the book? Because that feels a bit too airy fairy, too nice, yay, we can all do it kind of thing. And I was like, I'm not sure about it. I was like, Ash liked it, and I was like, I don't know.
I think after reading the book, I think that goes really well.
Yeah,
really well.
Well, that's the thing. I was then one round, and the more I thought about it, I was like, yes, because you define success for yourself, and that's the key. The key is we can't all be Elon Musk's, Jeff Bezos's, etc. But we can have our own version of success.
Yes,
everybody can, and you really do have what it takes to succeed. And it's beyond probably your imagination, that kind of thing. It's like you probably are thinking too small. Very few people actually think delusional, thinking huge and thinking they're going to be the next Elon. Very few actually think that. Most people are kind of like, yeah, if I make it would be great to make $5,000 a month. That would be awesome. My own business. It would make, that's the kind of way that people are thinking more of. So yeah, you already have what it takes to succeed because of what you touched on. This idea of double-edged swords. So to just break it down in general, the unfair advantage is this idea. I used to be really into self-development books. I still am. I still really like them. But I used to read them a lot when I was younger. And this whole American idealistic way of looking at the world of anybody could do it. Come on, just pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. You can all do it. And the underlying assumption was always that everybody's starting off from the same point in life. And business books are the same as well. They always used to just talk about strategy and tactics and just not talk about this idea of like, hold on, if you know somebody that works at the company, you can much more easily get them as clients. Bill Gates, his mom was on the board of IBM or something like that. And then she was able to get him IBM as a first client, which is insane. Yeah. And no one talks about that. And this is how life works. But there was no acknowledgement from all these books that this is how life works. So we wanted to be clear, and especially to those kind of more underprivileged startup founders that were pitching us. So when I met Ash, we started getting into angel investing. And they'd sit across from us and pitch. And I'd be like, I work so hard. This is my idea. I'm so ambitious. And we're like, yeah, but you don't have a technical co-founder. How are you going to build this app? You don't have the connections to other VCs and basically investors. You don't this is going to be tough. You don't have any insight into the industry. You don't have any connections in that industry where you're going to get clients. You don't have any previous successes we could look at. You don't have the unfair advantages to succeed. So this was the key. Say hard work isn't enough. We don't live in a pure meritocracy where everybody who works hard enough then is going to be successful. No, it's actually a lot of unfair advantages at play. And we broke down what those unfair advantages are. It's money. So the acronym is MILES. And MILES stands for money, which is a very clear unfair advantage. People just have loads of money or get a rich uncle or something. It's often friends and family that invest first. Then you have I, which is for intelligence and insight. There's all these different types of intelligence that we break down in the book. And insight is the big one, which we can all get. It's not the very privileged one generally. L is for location and luck, right place, right time. That's the serendipity of it. That's when, people need to, and you know what? Most successful people will acknowledge right place, right time. They will say, I got really lucky. I was very lucky. They would say that. None of them.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Everybody says it. Everyone acknowledges that, but no one talks about it in business books. L is for location and luck. E is for education and expertise. We touched on education and how, education, going to a private school, going to an elite university, getting private tutoring. This is amazing unfair advantage, but also expertise. Expertise is the more practical one, is the more you can learn by doing. You don't need to go to school. You can take an online course. You could learn from YouTube videos, for God's sakes. You don't need enough, all that. And then S is for status. Yeah. Status is how you come across, how you sound, is how people's first impressions of you. It's like, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, the reason that phrase exists is because that's what everybody does. Yep. And in a metaphorical sense as well, not just literally books. They judge people by how they come across. So I think it's important, and within status is also a network. Because if you say, if I say I was having dinner the other day with Elon Musk or whatever, you'll increase your status. Wow. Okay. So that's status. And part of status is also your inner status, how you talk to yourself. And that's kind of the more confidence side and self-esteem side. So those are the broad categories of unfair advantages. You might be listening to this and go, I don't have a rich uncle. I didn't go to an elite school. I'm from a random town. I'm not from the best location. I'm not super intelligent. But the key is, and also part of status is like fame, how many followers you have, etc. Kylie Jenner launched her lip brand. She became the youngest self-made billionaire. It's kind of ridiculous, right? I think the key is to know that there's a benefit to not having anything. Having less money is going to make you more hungry, make you more creative, make you more resourceful. Being in the bad location, it's going to cost less to get office space, going to cost less to get employees. With the internet, you can work from anywhere, really. It's all good. You have a longer runway. With, let's say, you're less educated kind of formally. Well, then Ash was like that, my co-author. He didn't go to university, but, he just picked up books and started learning from them. Or nowadays, you don't need to do books. You could just do online courses or YouTube videos. So I think the key is to understand that you already have what it takes to succeed. You don't need to be privileged to be successful, but privilege can help.
Yes.
And it's just acknowledging the brutal truth of success.